Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are joined from. Um, Today I'm going to talk about do I have to learn new tricks to manage Oracle database in the cloud? I am Viju Thomas. I work for OneNeck IT Solutions. I've been working with Oracle databases for a very long time, and I've published several OCA and OCP books. The first book came out in 2000, and the most recent OCA 12C book was published 2 years back. I'm an Oracle ACE director. I blog at bijus.com, and I am active in social media, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. We'll give the handle and contact information towards the end of the presentation. Have a slide with the contact information. This is a company I work for, OneNeck IT Solutions. OneNeck IT Solutions is a hybrid IT solutions provider for the mid-market and enterprise companies. OneNeck is headquartered here in the USA, Arizona, and we have 8 data centers coast to coast. OneNeck does ERP managed outsourcing, especially focusing on Microsoft AX, Oracle Business Suite, and SAP. We are partners with Oracle, Azure, recently with AWS, and have our own private cloud platform. Thus, you get the hybrid cloud service through OneNeck. No need to go to multiple vendors. There's a lot. You can visit oneneck.com to understand and the infrastructure and consulting services we provide. This is the agenda for today. In this session, I'm going to focus on the role of database administrator in the cloud world. What do we do differently? We'll also review Oracle Database Backup Cloud Service. I think even if you're not ready to move the database to the cloud, the long-term storage backups could go to the cloud. And if time permits, I would talk about the cloud migration options as well. So let's start with the cloud options for the Oracle database. I mean, in the future, what we could see, or how the database administrator will be managing database in the near future. Most of the databases. So why cloud? Cloud, what do we call cloud? I mean, cloud is the computing based on internet. We are used to running applications and database on a physical computer or server in our own building. Cloud computing, simply put, is doing the same job our internet. Cloud is becoming more common nowadays. Cloud-based services are good for businesses with growing or fluctuating bandwidth demand or fluctuating capacity demand. The cloud is especially good for them. Many companies do not have a disaster recovery plan, so cloud could help to build a DR environment much cheaper than you are building one yourself. There is no need to buy expensive hardware. The spending changes from CapEx to OpEx, subscription-based model, which helps you to undertake and upgrade and technology refresh projects much more easily than you don't have to think about like the huge amount of upfront money you have to spend on technology. There is a myth that the cloud is less secure. In fact, the cloud provider facilities and infrastructure are more secure than the own data center. The cloud providers, they all have spent a lot of money on beefing up security and encryption. Today, pretty much all companies have some software application in the cloud. Tomorrow, we'll see more and more databases in the cloud. So hence this presentation. So what is the DBA role and responsibility in the cloud? I mean, in one word or one sentence, it depends on the type and feature of the cloud. We have infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, database as a service, backup as a service, and so on. So each cloud vendor treats cloud differently. So we will review some of the major options and what the DBA role in those deployments. Let's start with infrastructure as a service. So IaaS is the most common cloud option. Here you'll have full control of the operating system, database, and application. You not worry about the stuff you don't have an expert in, especially for the mid-level companies. It would be expensive to hire a qualified network engineer or security engineer or a storage architect. So let the cloud companies invest on those resources. Most cloud providers offer a bare metal and some kind of private cloud. Oracle IaaS has the legacy offering known as the Oracle Public Cloud. I call it legacy because most nowadays, Oracle is promoting BMCS, which is bare metal cloud services. You can check out cloud.oracle.com to understand the difference between BMCS and OPC. And how Oracle differs from hyperscale providers like AWS and Azure. Hosted private cloud, which I have, is an attractive option for many companies, especially if they are small or mid-market and have applications that are not suited for the public cloud. Hosted public cloud is considered as an extension of your own data center or extension of your IT department. Since HPC is not a commodity service, you get to choose what you want, and you want to have some human interaction. It's there. Under the public cloud IaaS hyperscale, I included Alibaba because I read that Alibaba is very popular in China, and it's getting into the international market. So we'll see more about what our role in hyperscale public cloud, what the DBAs will be doing. So this slide, I will repeat the different versions of this slide in the presentation. So in an on-premise database, where the data, we have our own data center. The company has their own data center, and you are managing the database for the company. Then it's all the customer responsibility, or the company responsibility, the employee responsibility to manage from power, network, servers, and everything up to the application management, which obviously includes operating system, database, and everything. On a hyperscale cloud, IaaS hyperscale public cloud or private cloud, the cloud provider manages the infrastructure. You start managing the operating system management and the patches, when the DB software installation, database patches, database backups, database management, and application management. So you don't take care of any of the OS installation or server maintenance or hardware or anything. You don't have to worry about the infrastructure. That's why it is infrastructure as a service. The third column here, IaaS and the hosted cloud, where companies like OneNeck, you have the choice. Whether where you can do the database management or OS management or application management, but the hosted cloud provider does the infrastructure, similar to a hyperscale cloud provider. Here, we also have, the companies like OneNeck, they also have managed services as well. So let's see what platform as a service is. Platform as a service is a category of cloud computing that provides a platform allowing the customers to develop, run, and manage application without the complexity of infrastructure. You don't have to worry about that. You get as a package, including the operating system and the database. You just worry about the application only. That's platform as a service. So the customer controls the software deployment with minimal configuration and options. The provider provides the network, the servers, the storage, the operating system, the middleware, like Java runtime or .NET, the integration software, the database, and other services to host the application. Some examples of PaaS are like Business Intelligence Cloud from Oracle, Big Data Cloud from Oracle, Java Cloud, Database Cloud, IoT Cloud. I mean, those are all PaaS services. The database as a service falls under PaaS service as well. So it has two flavors. We can call it as two flavors: the fully managed by the provider or customer managed database. So in this section under PaaS, I will discuss the fully managed option, and the customer managed PaaS is we'll discuss under the next section under Oracle Database Cloud. The public cloud provider or hyperscale public providers are mainly IaaS providers, except for Amazon AWS. We'll see that RDS. So database as a service, where the provider does some kind of database management. These are the options that we could see. The Oracle Cloud Exadata Express service, it's fully managed. Database Schema service, fully managed, and the license is also included with that service. These are the options available if you're looking for someone to manage the creation and maintenance of the database. In this service, the dot release of the database is pretty much decided by the vendor. You do not have access to the operating system. The VMs where the database is running is managed by the provider. You have access to the database or the schema only. Amazon RDS or Relational Database Services give you the option to reserve a database instance for 1 or 3-year term. I mean, the RDS has a reserved instance option. So RDS, there are two models. One is the license included model, where you can subscribe to a standard edition 1 or standard edition 2 option, or you could bring your own license. I mean, if you want to run an enterprise edition in Amazon RDS, you purchase the license from Oracle and provide that license and options to RDS, and then they will create the database and do a little bit of management. We'll see what the DBA has to do when the database on RDS. Oracle Database, DBaaS, fully managed. Here, DBA, there is no role for the DBA here. I mean, Oracle is publicly, in the sales pitch is that, I mean, there is no DBA, customer DBA required. And as you can see in the second bullet point. So this is mainly intended for small and medium-sized databases. Very attractive entry-level price. I believe it starts like around $175 a month or something like that. You get database enterprise edition. The database is running on Exadata engineered system. You access the data through REST data services, the ORDS, or directly connect to the database using SQLnet, JDBC, .NET, Python, or the drivers like that. The schema service is interesting because it runs an Application Express instance. You get an Application Express instance. So basically, I mean, with the Oracle DBaaS, the database Exadata Express Cloud Service and Database Schema Cloud Service, both there is no DBA. I mean, DBAs do not have any role in these two services. It's just application management. You develop the application on the Exadata platform, or you run your Apex application on Schema Service. So Amazon RDS for Oracle. This is one of the popular options for cloud or customers looking for Oracle database. So Amazon RDS is available on several database instance type. I mean, the instance can be optimized for memory, optimized for performance, or I/O. The backups are turned on by default. Database snapshots are taken for the database instance. Like these are like user initiated database snapshots can be taken. You can also create a database in a multi-AZ deployment where it is a standby database running in another data center using Amazon's own replication technologies. They are the multi-AZ deployment instance is running in an infrastructure in a different physical location. Amazon VPC is also available. I mean, if you want to isolate your DB instance on your own virtual network and connect your existing IT infrastructure using encryption, you can use the Amazon VPC. But Amazon RDS supports many relational databases like Amazon Aurora, Postgres, MySQL, MariaDB, Oracle, and SQL Server. For Oracle, there are various compute size options available with managed DBaaS, I mean fully managed DBaaS. Amazon RDS has multiple options, whereas if you go with the Oracle Exadata Express, you are limited to 50 gig storage. Pretty much 50 gig. I mean, that's the size of the database you could have. So you can see that this is intended for very, very small databases or very small web-based applications is what the Cloud Exadata Express is intended for. So the DBA job is not going away anywhere. I mean, even though the database in the cloud, these are for smaller databases where it is completely managed by Oracle. The rest, all the cloud services, I mean, there is a DBA, some kind of DBA is required to manage. So the job is not going away anywhere anytime soon. If you go with Exadata Express, I mean, a few considerations. The storage, I mean, based on the type, we saw the three different types of storage type available. So it is allocated fully. I mean, if you choose the 50 gig option, all of the 50 gig is allocated in the beginning. And there are a lot of restrictions. I mean, you cannot use all the options of Alter System, Alter Session, or Alter Pluggable Database, because in 12.2 database, I mean, there's a new feature called PDB Lockdown, where even though you have a privilege to run these statements, the options are limited. So it's called PDB Lockdown. You search Google on PDB Lockdown, and you can see several blogs to understand if you are not familiar with what PDB Lockdown is. There is no operating access. There is no schema access. I mean, common schema access, and there is no AWR access. The network access is enabled through Apex Web Service and Apex Mail PL/SQL APIs. You get the maximum 1 CPU core, and max sessions allowed is like 60, something like that. I need to verify that if there is any change in that. Okay, let's assume the database is on AWS RDS. What are the administration activities included? So many of the, similar to Oracle Exadata Cloud Database Service, many of the database administration activities, the DBA privilege is restricted with some of the statements. Like you have to use, for most of the administration activities, you have to use the RDS admin tool. I mean, for example, if you want to disconnect a session or kill a session or disable restricted session, flush shared pool or flush buffer cache, grant privileges on a sys object, or create a directory, logging, I mean, force logging, supplemental logging, switch a log file, add an online log file or drop an online log file, set time zone, and so on. I mean, you have to use the package RDBMS, RDS admin _util package. If you want to create a password verify function, you use the RDS admin password verify package for that. If you want to list the files on the server, the database server, you can use the RDS file util list dir, or there is a read file procedure is also available. So basically, since you don't have access to the operating system directly, I mean, this is the way to list the files on the database server, especially if you are using directories, Oracle directories. You can increase the storage. You can change the compute capacity. All of that you need to do yourself. I mean, if you need to change from one DB instance class to different DB instance class, I mean, you can change that, but there is an outage needed. Init parameter. There's Amazon RDS. When you subscribe to the service, it creates the instance with a standard set of parameters. If you want any change, I mean, you create a parameter group and then make your changes in that parameter group. So if you make the change on a non-dynamic parameter where the database cycle requires a parameter change, then the change will happen when you reboot the database during the next maintenance. That's when the change will take place. But the parameter group change, the group will be changed immediately, but the database instance will take effect only after you reboot. It's very obvious. You can create a big file or small file tablespace using create tablespace. I mean, here you don't use the RDS admin util. You use the create tablespace statement directly. By default, the database tablespaces are created with auto extend with no size limit. Some more considerations on Amazon RDS. I mean, you don't have ASM, you don't have DataGuard, Database Vault, multi-tenant database, RAC, unified auditing. I mean, these are not supported on Amazon RDS. But you could have all of this in Amazon IaaS if you want. I mean, there again, I'll talk about that towards the end. Oracle has a public cloud statement released. So huge pages is there for if the instance class has more than 14 gig of memory, huge pages enabled by default. RDS supports OEM, TDE, and Apex. With database upgrade, there is no, I mean, it's not automatically upgraded on a certain day or anything. I mean, you have to upgrade, but there are APIs available. You either go to AWS Management Console or the API, or use an API or the command line interface to upgrade the database. I mean, it's all scripted. So you initiate, you plan it, you initiate it. You have to upgrade a test database first and to make sure that how long it takes, because to plan the production outage. So all of that stuff, and we do regularly. You have to do that. But on Amazon RDS, pretty much, I mean, you have to know what you want to do and how you want to and how you are doing. The step is different. Basically, you use the APIs provided by Amazon to get the task done on RDS. You can use SQL Plus and SQL Developer or OEM to manage the database. No problem there. There is a database option group available. I mean, if you want to add any of the options like Application Express, Enterprise Manager, Label Security, SSL, if you want to change the time zone, TDE, you can create an option group and enable the options you want added to the database. These are some of the restrictions of Amazon RDS. There is no shell access, like no SSH or telnet to the server where the database is running, no access to sys or system accounts, restrict access to certain system procedures and tables like sys tables. So if you create, as mentioned, I mean, if you have a database parameters, you have to go with the database instance group. If you want to add any database option, you have to create a database option group. License included model, I mean, you have options only for SC or SC1 or SC2. Only Oracle managed files, there is no ASM. The Oracle wallet, I mean, if you use the TDE, Oracle wallet and master encryption key for the DB instance is managed by Amazon RDS. I mean, there's a link at the bottom. You can check out this link to read more. So what are the DBA responsibilities when we have a database running on AWS RDS or Exadata Express, where the database is fully or partially managed by the provider? So the customer takes care of the application development, the application patching, the application upgrades. All of that is taken care by the customer. Everything else is provided by the provider, the cloud provider. On Amazon RDS, it's a little bit different. You have to do the database management as well, database patches or database upgrades, database administration need to be done by the DBA, so DBA is needed. The only difference is we use Amazon APIs to manage the database, not the commands you are used to. Now, Oracle Database Cloud Service. I mean, this, in my mind, I mean, this falls between IaaS and a fully managed PaaS, or specifically designed for Oracle workloads. So Oracle Database Cloud Services, there is a Oracle Database Cloud Service, then Oracle Database Cloud Service Bare Metal, where you don't have the virtualization overhead. Oracle Database Exadata Cloud Service, where you get the benefit of Exadata in the cloud, and Exadata Cloud Machine, where the Exadata machine is sitting at your premise. And we already talked about the bottom two. So cloud database service on bare metal is available with Oracle, and there are some other providers also providing bare metal nowadays, or at least a private cloud is available with other cloud providers also. You could have a bare metal 2-node rack configuration on Oracle Cloud. So I'm going to concentrate mainly on the Oracle Database Cloud Service and see what we could do, or what the role of a DBA on Oracle Database Cloud Service. When I talk to DBAs, I mean, many are worried that the DBA role might go away or change drastically when we have database on the cloud. Let's see what the change is. So this is a slide directly taken from one of the Oracle documents. The link is at the bottom. So if you have a database on-premise, you can see that there are Oracle has listed about 50 steps, I mean, right from acquiring the data center floor space through emailing the developers that once the database is created. So there are about 50 steps is what is listed. And if you have the database on the cloud, Oracle Cloud, it's only like a 5 or 6 step activity to create a database, and instead of taking days or weeks, I mean, it takes only like 30 minutes or 20-30 minutes to create the database. And so basically, you choose the database version. You choose whether you want standard edition or enterprise edition with the what option, and the shape. I mean, how much compute, and when the backups and patching windows are, and you load a public key, SSH key, and press go. Why the SSH key is needed? Because you have direct access to the server where the database is running. So that's why the SSH key is different. I mean, that's where Oracle Cloud is drastically differs from Amazon, where you have full access on the backend server, and you are responsible for the operating system and the database once it is provisioned. So with Oracle Cloud, I mean, these are all natively available: Oracle RAC, DataGuard, or Golden Gate, Database Vault, encryption. Pretty much by default, all the table spaces you create are encrypted by default. So you can see that. The provisioning. So you choose all of the stuff you saw in the previous slide or 2 slides before, and you request for service. Then behind the scene, I mean, all of this activity happens. I mean, Oracle Cloud, I mean, it allocates the compute service based on our specifications, then allocate the storage, provision the operating system, set the keys and privileges, the SSH, the install and configure the database, and configure backups, configure the tools, and configure access. I mean, all of that is happening in the 30 minutes or 20 minutes. I mean, pretty much if you don't have real application clusters or data guard, I mean, the database provisioning happens within 20 minutes, and the database is ready for use. I mean, so you request for the database, you get a cup of coffee, and you come back. The database should be ready to connect and use. So these are the options. I mean, I'm not going to show all of the screens how you provision the database, but I just want to share here the options. So the standard edition is there, SE1 or SE2. Enterprise edition is enterprise edition with the TDE, and DataGuard is available with enterprise edition. And there are two other options with enterprise edition: high performance and extreme performance. So if you want spatial or diagnostic and tuning pack access, then you need to go with the high performance option. If you want RAC or active data guard, you need to choose the extreme performance option, or in-memory database, you need to choose the extreme performance option. And these are the compute shape. I mean, just want to share this screen quickly. I mean, where you can see the different compute options available. And if you want a rack, I mean, it's just creating a checkbox. I mean, you use the checkbox to create a rack instance. If you want to create a data guard instance, I mean, you just choose you click the checkbox and standby database with data guard, and you can choose whether you want the data guard to be HA or DR. I mean, if it is HA, it'll be on the same data center. If you choose it for DR, I mean, it'll be physically separated into different data centers instances. You can choose the character set, port, and everything. Connecting to the cloud database is pretty simple. You connect to any other database on premise, and you can use SQL Developer to connect, to SQL Plus to connect to the cloud database, or OEM to connect to the cloud database. You in SQL Developer, you can, if you open the port or the listener port, I mean, you can connect directly using the IP address and the port, or you can use SSH tunneling in SQL Developer to connect to the database. I have written about this in my blog. I mean, you can check out this blog link for more details if you want to know more about it. The tool. Let's look at the tools available for database management. But once you provision the database in the Oracle Cloud, I mean, pretty much all ports except the SSH port is blocked. So if you want to use DBaaS, I mean, you have to open the port 443. DBaaS monitor is a web-based monitor. I mean, it gives you the status of many of the components in the database, like the listener, how much storage is allocated, what is the backup status, if there are any alerts. You can even see the alert log file. What are the database sessions, the weights, the parameters, the real-time SQL monitor. The OS menu shows the operating system statistics, like processors and memory usage and stuff like that. In the manage menu, I mean, you have the option to create pluggable databases, where you can create and drop or clone pluggable databases, and that option is available under the manage option. Again, there's a blog for that. I mean, you can get more information there. You can manage the database on Oracle Cloud using Database Express 12c by default. All you have to do is open the port 5500. Then you can manage the database using Oracle Database Express 12c. Other cloud tooling. I mean, you need to be familiar with the cloud tooling, DBaaS CLI and RAC CLI. So these perform a variety of lifecycle and administration options. So you have full access to the operating system, where if you choose to do the traditional way, the administration the traditional way, like you want to apply the patch using OPatch, you're welcome to do that. I mean, nobody's preventing you from doing that. But there are the orchestrations available where Oracle has spent time and created APIs, DBaaS CLI and RAC CLI if you have a RAC database. So this CLI or these APIs will be very much useful and save you a bunch of time, because these APIs can be used to bounce the database, can be used to change the password, or start a service, start the database, or stop the database. And for DataGuard, I mean, if you want to fail over, there are options like failover, reinstate, or switch over. I mean, all of that. You can apply a patch using the DB patch M option. You can manage database vault, enable or disable database vault. Golden Gate you can manage using DBaaS CLI. So I mean, if you say GG Golden Gate setup, I mean GG setup, it creates a database for a replication. So it's all. I mean, you don't have to go through the details. You don't have to understand the nitty gritty details and the exact syntax. You just understand what options are available in DBaaS CLI, and you can use it. Oracle has spent time to script out everything, so it makes the DBA life easier. That's the difference. So you get the tools, the management tools from Oracle, where you manage the database, and remember to update the cloud tooling to the latest. I mean, once you provision your instance, you need to update the cloud tooling. DB Patch MTG, that's another tool to manage the patches. I mean, it can list the available patches, and it can apply the patches or roll back patches, and all of that can be done. And DBaaS CLI utility, Oracle DBCS CLI utility. I mean, this is the utility which you can download and run on on your laptop or anywhere. I mean, where a Linux machine is running, you can download and run and manage the cloud using that. You can create a new deployment, you can delete a deployment, you can list all the deployments, you can apply a patch, you can scale up. All of that activities you can do using the Oracle DBCS CLI utility. So if your database is on the cloud, I mean, what are the responsibilities we have? So comparing with on-premise, the database cloud service is similar to hyperscale cloud service provider. I mean, the activities are similar, but there are tools available. I mean, the database management, database backups, database patches, that all becomes easier once you're on Oracle Database Cloud. I mean, where the mundane activities we use the tools and make it much easier to do the mundane day-to-day activities, and the DBAs can concentrate on more value-add activities like architecture and how you can improve the quality of the database and quality for the developers, for the end users, how you can improve that. So you can concentrate more on that and not worry about the database management, backups, patches. I mean, you don't think too much about it. I mean, it's pretty much automated. You use the tools provided by Oracle, or in the case of Amazon RDS, I mean, the tools provided by Amazon to do the management. Backup cloud service. This is an interesting cloud offering. Database backup cloud service is used to store Oracle database backups only. So if you want to store any other type of data, like if you want to store a file or anything, you have to use the storage cloud service with Oracle. So let's see what the database cloud service is. This is similar to you use a backup on-premise, where I mean you still use RMAN. So what you do is, I mean, you download the library, the library from OTN, and then you configure that with the database. I mean, install it on this database server, and you can use RMAN, and you specify the SBT tape library as the Oracle Cloud. That's it. I mean, so from a backup standpoint, there is no change. Only the destination is changed because you are using a different library. So, for example, I mean, you can choose the destination as disk or net backup or Commvault tape libraries like net backup, Commvault. I mean, other TSM, Tivoli, any of that tape library you can choose. Similar, this is Oracle Cloud is another tape library. So you choose Oracle Cloud as a tape library, and the backups go to cloud. So you do the regular RMAN backup, and it goes there. The backups are encrypted at the source and securely transferred and stored in the cloud. And the data is always kept the backup is always kept in the designated geographic regions. There is mirroring. I believe there is three-way mirroring, and the data is the backup is always available. Then what else? The retention, you can decide what retention you want for the database. I think the price starts about like 2 cents or 2.5 cents per GB per month is where the price starts. So it is much cheap. I mean, you have to pay for the transfer, I believe, the put copy, post or list requests. There is some charge for that, but it's very minimal. And if you opt to do a non-metered service, I mean, if you want to do a database, it's like $33 per terabyte per month. I mean, so you can use unlimited number of database and archive log backups. So you can do that. So check it out. I mean, it's a very good niche service. So here is a quick installation and configuration. You go to this link in OTN and download the jar file, and you run the installer Java JPC, and you set the encryption and enable compression. Then you do the backup as any other backup. I mean, you just do configure channel device step SPT, and in the parameter, the SPT library, you specify the libopc.sm. That is the Oracle Cloud Backup Library, and you specify the parameters for that. That's pretty much it. So basically, the configure channel, that's the only line different than the backup go to the cloud. Very neat, isn't it? Got about 15 minutes, but I'll take 5 minutes for questions. So in the next 10 minutes or 7 minutes, I'll spend on the cloud migration options. Okay. Because that's also a DBA responsibility. Once your company or the IT department decides to move to the cloud, I mean, it's a DBA responsibility to migrate the database to cloud with minimal downtime. That's the key, right? I mean, minimal downtime. No, whatever change the business wants, I mean, they want to get all the changes with no downtime. So what are the factors deciding the data or database migration to the cloud? I mean, deciding factors in the sense that, I mean, which option to choose or which method to choose for the migration. So one is a version. I mean, if you have a very old database, I mean, if you have an Oracle 8 or Oracle 9 database, which you decided that you want to move to the cloud because it's running on a very old HP infrastructure, you want to move to the cloud and use a different application, you have to use export. I mean, the traditional export or SQL loader kind of migration. So the version has a big impact. The size of the database, I mean, because the size is big and you have a very limited outage window, then the size matters. If the target is multi-tenant, I mean, if the source and target is multi-tenant, I mean, then it is much easier to transfer that. The character set, you need to consider the character set, the Indian format. I mean, are you going from big Indian to little Indian? Pretty much all the cloud providers have little Indian running on Linux flavor. Or Windows flavor. So you need to decide. I mean, if your database is running on Solaris or HP, the Indian format matters, and how much downtime, as you mentioned, how much downtime is required. Here, I'm going to talk about the Oracle migration methods. If you're migrating to Amazon AWS, I mean, these methods will still work, but there is also Amazon AWS database migration service. You may want to check out that. That's a web-based service. I mean, Amazon database migration service has a replication instance in between, and that's where you copy the data and then it converts into the target format and then copies it. So check it out. I mean, it's a migration service with Amazon. So data pump, I mean, you can use data pump with any version to any version, any character set. It doesn't matter. The downtime is the concern. The downside is the downtime. So the database size, I mean, the dump file you have to export and then transfer the dump file to the cloud and then do the import. I mean, so there's a downtime record for that method. In every slide, I have a link at the bottom so you can see that. I just want to give quickly what are the options available so you can explore more. You can use data pump full transportable database. So that is available with 11.203 or higher. So here also the downtime required because you need to have the table spaces in read-only mode and FTP the data files. Then data pump transportable table space is available. That's an option where you just transfer the data files with making the table spaces read-only. In both options, I mean, there is an incremental backup, and that option is also available where you transfer the data files while the database is online, and then you do a RMAN incremental. That option is also available with the transportable. So remote clone, if you have a pluggable database, that's much easier to transfer. With database 12c, I mean, you have unplug and plug. I mean, that's with this. Then you can use RMAN to migration option. You can do backup and restore, cross-platform transportable PDB, cross-platform transportable tablespace with backup sets, transportable tablespace with data pump, RMAN convert, transportable tablespace. So there are a lot of options with RMAN, some of them with very minimal downtime, where you can take an incremental backup and apply that to the already copied database. The other migration option, I mean, if you have a smaller database, or you have older other restrictions, or if you're converting from a different flavor of the database, I mean, you can use you have some other options. So the other options are like SQL Loader. You can use SQL Loader, a database link and insert statements, a data guard. You can use. I mean, you can create a physical standby in the cloud and then do a switch over. You can use Golden Gate. I mean, that's with no downtime or very minimal downtime. Golden Gate, both Data Guard and Golden Gate, I mean, very minimal downtime. Then you can use the SQL Developer if you want to copy a database, or if you want a database copy, you can use SQL Developer. There are menu items available. They are very easy. Then the things to consider, I mean, the cloud. I mean, cloud is a direction. So if you're not familiar with cloud, if you're not looking into cloud, I encourage you to check into cloud, because that is the direction. I mean, the companies are moving that direction because they have to. There is no point in maintaining a data center. I mean, it has the cost is difference is much becoming wider and wider. So companies have to look into the cloud. And they have to get into the cloud. It depends on which application moves first. Maybe certain applications you have to maintain in-house, but most of the applications, I mean, are moving to the cloud. The databases are moving to the cloud. So you have to decide whether you want to take the IaaS or PaaS or SaaS route, or you want to fully managed database, or a IaaS with private cloud with hosted cloud providers. So where it is an extension, you get a private cloud. Or the only thing is, I mean, the infrastructure is sitting in a data center, in a cloud provider data center, and with hosted cloud providers, I mean, you can even do lift and shift. I mean, you can shift your own hardware, if you have purchased your own Exadata, I mean, you can transfer that. Or if you have an HP platform, HP server, or an AX server, you want to migrate to the cloud. I mean, you go to the hosted cloud provider and you do lift and shift. And so the server is sitting in the cloud data center, and you manage the database and operating system as you used to manage before. So hybrid IT, I mean, any combination of hyperscale or HPC or on-premise, it's called hybrid IT. I mean, that is the buzzword these days, and that is the direction pretty much all companies are going, because you have a component in the cloud, and you have a component on-premise, or you have a component in the public cloud, and you have a component in the private cloud. So we are all subscribers of hybrid IT. And this is the piece I was talking about earlier about licensing, because in January, towards the end of January, Oracle released the public cloud provider they call authorized cloud environment, Amazon and Azure. So there is some license restrictions or license guideline or a directive you have given. So in that, I mean, it talks about like a rack, multi-tenancy, in-memory, active data guard. I mean, those options or those products are not included in the as something that runs on Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure platform. So I have written about it on a blog recently. So you can take a look at that and review that. And with that, there is 10 more minutes, but this is how you would contact me or my company. I mean, OneNeck.com is where I work for, and we are hosted public or private cloud providers and managed services. I am active on Facebook and Twitter, and you can follow me. And there is a hashtag ORA Tidbit or a Tidbit. I provide a tidbit every day. It's published like in the morning, U.S. time, Central, around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock a.m. in the morning. But you can read that anytime. These are the social media handles: Twitter, Facebook, Google, and blog. With that, let me check if there are any questions. Francisco, do you see any questions? Looks like there are no questions. Thank you all for joining. And oh, I see one question here. Currently, we have physical standby data guard setup with the FSFO observer. Can I replicate similar setup on Oracle DBAS? I'm not 100% sure about that. Suraj, ping me or email me. My email is biju.thomas@gmail.com or biju.thomas@onenet.com. Email me the question and we can take it from there. Thank you all for your time, and I'm going to end the session. Thank you, Francisco and Paco UC for this opportunity. I have another session coming up in August, so we'll see you again. Thank you. Bye now.